Natural Bridges State Park in North Adams, Massachusetts. Nothing natural about this place. Here's driving into the park, and we start to see some of the marble. This is all this rock is marble. But then, especially right here, there's just this huge rounded wall of marble. We'll come back to that. And when I got out of my car and started walking around, it had this little section of very old rock stuff. It's kind of like an outdoor type of museum sort of a thing with very peculiar rock art. I'll just show you a few of them. Like this right here is kind of like a mermaid looking thing. This one over here is really interesting. Almost looks like an obelisk. A guy kneeling next to an obelisk or something like that. Just look at it straight on. But it looks like just, I don't know if they made it like this or if it's an old statue or something that got zapped and kind of melted. And this one's kind of interesting. Looks like there's some wheels depicted on it. It's kind of got that octagonal shape to it. But it also kind of looks like maybe like elementary school kids made it at the same time. So like I don't really know what we're looking at here. And so up from the top, I'm gonna hike down and show you the wall, and then we'll go back up and I'll show you the dam and canal. So you got these, it's a really fun place to just go hike around and stuff. Very cool. If you ever get the chance, definitely go visit. Just the hike is fun, but then, I mean, seeing a marble dam and canal is pretty amazing. And then, you know, it's in ruins now at this point. Some of it's in pretty good shape, but I mean, if you can just in your head look at it and paint the full picture with rushing water and everything, the old world was so amazing. And I mean, it looks like it's definitely been beat up. It looks like some fires charred it. It looks like it's taken a beating and has chipped off in areas and everything like that. Natural? No, man built this. And it's in ruins now, but this was a huge marble wall right here, built by our ancestors. And so here's a little look at the, I guess what we'll call the interior of it. This would be the canalway. I'll show you some better spots where you can see some really clean white, not quite pristine, but in pretty good shape marble. But you can see, you know, there used to be just rushing water coming through here. So there's where we climbed up over there, hiked around to this side, where they do have a little sign up still. And they've got a couple signs I'll show you throughout this. It says the white marble rock in the park is classified as a compound that contains the mineral calcite. Gives you the formula. And the calcium atoms have combined with carbon and oxygen atoms. So I mean, they know the contents of it, right? And I believe what our ancient ancestors knew, the ones who built this wall, is how to actually make the marble. In our case, lots of times we mine it from sites like this that our ancestors previously built, but I believe they knew the combinations of different materials and pressures that they need to be put under, etc., in order to form marble. And I believe they formed their granite that way. The story we've been told is going chiseling it and blowing it with dynamite out of mountains. And we do that now, but back then, the original builders of these mountains, I believe they knew how to actually create the blocks of marble or granite and knew these formulas and everything that comes along with it in order to actually be able to make that. And not just make it, but you know, like different kinds of marble, where some of it's much more of a pure white, some of it has a gray, a black swirliness running through it, some of it's like just a darker bluish gray type of marble. And so here's a look at we're standing right on top of the wall that I was originally panning from down below. And then right over here, this is the white marble dam that I've been talking about. This dam, built in the early 1800s, is the only white marble dam, at least that's what this sign says, in North America. The water stored behind the dam flowed through a cement-covered pipe, the penstock, to power the Hoosac Marble Mill. The mill operated from 1851 to 1947. Fire destroyed it when it was all this rushing water right by it, and it's marble, but fire destroyed it. I imagine the marble is not nearly as, and I'll show you, like I said, I'll show you some that looks cleaner than this marble, but I think a lot of this marble has been darkened up, dirtied, and just a lot of weathering has occurred over time. And so it's not as white and shiny and glistening as it once was. But even with that said, if you watch the water run over it right here, that's some very beautiful, like brilliant water that you're looking at right there. And then if you imagine if the white marble behind it and under it was as white as it used to be, like this would just be an amazing sight for your eyes of just glistening, pure whiteness. This is, I don't know if pond is the right word, but a little reservoir back here. And look how just calm and still and beautiful that water is. And then boom, into a marble waterfall where it can begin to rush, and it rushes down to a mill. And now you've got electricity and power. 3-story mill was produced a variety of byproducts: poultry grit, powder for toothpaste, face powder, pigment for paint, putty, and soap. Also used as a neutralizer in the chemical industry. In 1947, the quarry was yielding 200 tons of stone a day, and the buildings on the site were destroyed by fire. And then the company that owned it at that time sold it to Edward Elder, who managed the area as a tourist attraction until he died in '84, and then the government bought it from his widow. And here's how they say they quarried it. Starting from the top of the wall and working down, quarrymen extracted the marble by bench blasting, placing dynamite, yelling fire in the hole, hiding behind other bigger rocks to protect themselves from flying rock. And then once the marble was blasted, a bench was created that they could work from, and then they used jackhammers, steam-driven jackhammers, air-driven jackhammers. If the marble slabs were too large, a stick of dynamite was used, and the pop blast broke the rock into smaller sections so they could manage it. The marble was then placed inside dump cars that would travel down a narrow track to the mill. When the loaded quarry cars arrived at the mill, they were dumped into bins, which fed the crusher and turned the marble to dust. And in 1906, the Hoosac Marble Company began operation of a second quarry located a few miles south of this location, the largest in New England, and is presently operated by Specialty Minerals, who bought the quarry from Pfizer Inc., which is now distributing all the shots to everybody. So interesting. And here's a look at some of their pictures. So this is they're transporting the stones to the mill for crushing right here. And I believe, that look how, they're not great photos, but I imagine if this wasn't as pure white of marble, it would look dirtier and more gray, like maybe what we're seeing over here to the right. But I think they found just some of the purest, cleanest white marble when they showed up to it. And then there was also a mill down the road, and so they figured out, well, there's a bunch of this sitting here. Someone figured out how to make money with it, started using the mill to crush it and turn it into a powder that they could sell to people. But I think originally this was a canal, a dam, a water technology built by previous ancestors, and the mill down the road as well, as water technology. And then disaster came through, new population shows up, and they go, oh, look at all this white marble. Some rich dude hires a bunch of people to go and starts using the mill that's down there and selling it as an ingredient. So there's the upper dam, which goes into the mill pond. The brook was dammed in 2 places to provide water power. And then here's the marble dam, which is the one we were looking at. And then so here's a penstock. I'll show you what they mean by the penstock, but the penstock underground. Here's a bridge you can walk across right now. And then here's the penstock continuing. Here's where they say the natural bridge is. And then it would feed it through this penstock down here to the mill. Although minerals have many modes of occurrence and a widely varying association, they occur most commonly as rock constituents or the building blocks of rocks. I think it's just funny that they use building blocks because I believe that's originally what this all was they built the blocks, stacked them into these structures. Okay, and here's a look at the little area that you can hike around to a few different spots. Over here to the left is where you see the natural bridge. And then I think I'm gonna zoom in on it right here, but straight ahead, yeah, that's the penstock apparently. Super octagonal, I don't know if that's the right word, perfectly cut, extremely long cement piece stacked on top of old rock pillars. Now we're taking this bridge across right here to the other side of that white marble dam, and so we're looking at it straight on. And look how cool that is. I mean, if there wasn't water running down that, you might call that a chimney or something, right? That little piece right there kind of resembles a chimney. But I'm not sure what that hollow, that cutout piece there through the middle is. And down here you can see a spot where the marble is still pretty white, and especially with the sunlight hitting it right there, you can get an idea of how beautiful this thing must have been back when it was all this white. Just trying to show you here how white the marble actually used to be and still is in some spots. And the water, there used to be way more water coming through here. I mean, it's running, in my opinion, it's running very low compared to how it must have been running when it was originally built. And then here's a look at the dam from behind. So they say in 1800s they built that. I don't know, did they show up and just see all the marble sitting around and build this dam out of that marble? Maybe. I think it's a bit older though. Here's me hiking down a little ways to try and get, I don't know, just a more close-up shot of the dam. So I zoomed in on that rock again. I explained this in an earlier video, but it kind of glistened. And I've explained in previous videos how I've read a few times in places where into their rock, they would crush up glass in different colors of glass and then put that on the building, build out of that rock like that so that their buildings would glisten and shine. All right, here's what they say about the penstock. It was built to ensure a constant supply of water to the mill. Water from the dam flowed through the pipeline to the basement of the mill. A 50-foot head is available below the dam, by means of which 165 horsepower had been developed with a Francis turbine made by the Pelton Water Wheel Co. This furnished sufficient power to run the mill sometimes throughout the year. Oh, surprise, a fire of undetermined origin. Undetermined origin destroyed the entire plant and machinery. April 4th, 1947. The fire was one of the most spectacular in the city in a number of years. We're just gonna keep going. The erosion of the natural marble bridge is caused by water, creating a scene unequaled elsewhere on this continent. And I think that last part, it would be a pretty amazing scene to have seen this thing in its full glory. But saying that water did all the erosion on this natural marble bridge. And this one is just, the potholes found in the chasm are products of a process called rock drilling. Stones or cobbles are caught in the current and are bounced around by the rushing water. The cobbles nick away at the bedrock, creating deep circular holes. What a ridiculous story. They're basically saying that little pebbles in the water carve out these huge deep circles in the marble. Let me show you some of these deep marble circles. I already showed you some of them, and they just call them potholes. This is so ridiculous. Look at this. They're saying all this, like these deep circular holes, were carved out by little pebbles in the water. It's so ridiculous. Man, anciently, with their machines, built all this. And for what purpose they carved deep circular holes out of this marble, I'm sure it was for water technology purposes. I don't know the exact reason. But look at this. That right there, little pebbles in the water, did not, and look how smooth it is. Little pebbles in the water did not do that. Ancient man did that with his machines and technologies. What did they call it again? Rock drilling. See, they call it a natural process of little pebbles floating around, but then they nickname it rock drilling. And it's because that's what it was, you guys. Ancients built this, and they had drills, whatever machines, technologies, to drill these circular, smooth holes. Here's a look at some of these deep, circular pebble drilling holes. It's so dumb. Look at this. Look at this. Yeah, little pebbles carved this out. This isn't man who had carved out and drilled some huge holes with marble for whatever purpose, and then it just has been in ruins. Nope, little pebbles carved all this out. There, I adjusted the exposure there so you can see it a little bit better. Like, look how smooth this is inside of here. Little pebbles. Good work, little pebbles. You do better than actual machines. This is a really interesting one to me. I could just, again, I think we're looking at big blocks of stone that were previously stacked, and they've underwent, I don't know exactly what, but the word I've kind of been using is they got zapped, melted a little bit right here. It's kind of what it looks like. They're kind of droopy now a little bit. A rock canal built by man. And look, like here's an arch, and then these deep holes, just pebbles going to work. And here's a pan over. So the canal, where we saw that waterfall, sits up there a little higher, and then it just rushed and flowed through all of this. And then here's the penstock sitting above it, which I don't know what to make of that penstock, honestly. If any of you guys have ideas, throw them in the comments that aren't what we just read on the signs that they give us. And then I drove down a little way and parked my car and wanted to see the mill site. And so they say this is the remnants of the micro White Mill Foundation. Okay, this got destroyed by fire in 1947. You tell me, I'm gonna tell you too, but you tell me, does this look like fire came through and destroyed this in 1947? Because to me, these look like ruins, like maybe some of the oldest that we ever see anywhere is what this looks like to me. And so you walk down this path and you can start to see some rock structure back there. And okay, so here on the right, got this square rock wall, and then over here you've got all these different stones laid out, which, so I'm not saying it felt okay, but also let's just look at our wood fence. Old world, new world, right? Old world's this rock stuff, new world is this wood fence. I was just starting to say, I've been down to Mexico and walked through some of those ruins. And again, not saying it's exactly the same, but this felt similar. And you know how when you go into places, different places feel different, like just a feeling. And I thought for a second when I walked here, like it kind of felt like I wasn't, like I was supposed to be there, like I'd stumbled upon something way more ancient than it was supposed to be. It felt and looked so much older. And like, I mean, just look how buried this stuff is too. Like, see that down there? And I think I could have done a better job filming and getting shots here, but honestly, I was trying to more take it, instead of just, I was trying to like, just process it, honestly. But you can see these old walls in here, and how buried everything is. Like, yo, this is not 1947. This is not 1800s. Like I said, this is like, I think, as some of the oldest, you know, we see in other parts of the world or in this country. And then there were like these holes right here that were really interesting. And so like this wall right here, I just, that looks so ancient to me. And then all this, that's just buried right here, and sits right where this water used to run. But that just is like all those rocks down there, I think, are just crumbled, tumbled rocks from whatever this building was right here. And then back here, you just see more of it, just buried rock wall back there. And I came kind of down here by the water to have a look. Barely any water in there now. And I found this structure over here, big rock blocks, just in ruins and covered up with trees. And then I spotted this up here, where you see some actual like design in the rock wall that's buried back there. Here's a shot of it. Yeah, I don't know exactly what to make of that. And yeah, I just, the more I look at this, I just can't see the dates in the story being accurate. This looks like biblical time stuff, you know? And it felt that old. I mean, that's, I don't know exactly how to explain the feeling. You kind of just have to have felt that at some point in your life. But, and then here was another little waterfall that I found. And look, this is like perfectly cut rock in a, I'm not saying it's a pyramid, but similar shape, that perfectly cut, and just another beautiful waterfall creating falling water. Now, I don't know what this is, but they had it at the entrance exit. I don't know. Someone else, I share it because someone else might be interested in looking at that and have an idea what's going on there.